Hey everyone, welcome to Otterly AJ's channel. I'm not Otterly, I'm her friend Callie, but I've decided to make these videos for Otterly so I can make some clothes for her. In this video I'm going to be making pattern C, which is the large dress. I made it out of a floral, black and white floral pattern. I've already cut it out, which I think I filmed a little bit of, but I can't really remember. This is gonna be the skirt, the front of the skirt. So anyways, I'm going to actually be lining this one as opposed to the other ones, which I didn't line even though they told me to line them. The lining's going to be a black fabric, just so it kind of fits with the color scheme. And there's also a black underskirt. There's also an underskirt, and I chose black for the underskirt. Although I'm not sure if I'm going to do the underskirt or not, because I kind of think it would be kind of cool to just have a straight down skirt with this kind of pattern, but I'll see how it looks when I get there. I'll probably end up putting the underskirt. I'm not really going to be following the directions for the lining, because I think the way they did the lining is wrong. Maybe it's because they wanted it to be simpler. I think that's probably it, but I think that the way I'm going to do it will make a much cleaner result, even if it's not as simple. And I'd prefer it to be cleaner. So yeah, let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take piece 12, which is the front, and because we're doing the lining, we have two of the same one in different fabrics. So this is going to be the lining, which is the inside, and this is going to be the outside. And basically, for the first a lot of steps, we're going to just be doing the exact same thing to both the outside fabric and the lining fabric. So this is the front, so we're going to take the back fabric, which is number 13. And we're going to be laying it so that it lines up with the back fabric. And make sure that the right sides, which is the correct side of the fabric, for instance, you can see that this is the wrong side because the bird isn't showing and everything's a little duller. That means this is the right side. Make sure that the right sides of the fabric are together, which means that the wrong sides are out, is the part that we see. If we do that, then the seams will be on the inside as opposed to the outside, because we don't want to see all the extra fabric when we actually sew this. So we're going to sew the tops of the arms and the sides for both of the pieces, both the front and for both the outside and the interface, or for both the outside and the lining. And now you'll see I've sewn all the edges, and for the lining too. And you'll notice for the lining I used the same color thread as for the outside, because this is going to be inside, you're not going to see them at all. So it really doesn't matter. So now I'm going to clip the armpits here, and then I'm going to iron these seams so that it's out like that. So I'm going to iron these seams so that the seams go out like that. Now that I've pressed all these edges down, I'm going to take these two pieces and I'm going to flip, let's see, I'm going to flip this one inside out, the correct side, the correct fabric. And then I'm going to put it inside the lining. Basically, we're doing the reverse of how it's going to be at the end. And then we want to make sure we line up all of the seams at the neck hole, because that's where we're going to be sewing. I'm going to use some pins to hold it in place. And now we're going to sew from the bottom edge all the way up, around the neck hole, and back down again. Okay, so now that we've stitched all the way around, we're going to cut all of the threads that are hanging off, because after we do this, they're going to be hidden inside and we won't be able to get to them. And then we're going to snip the corners, the sharp corners, we're going to snip across like this. Make sure that you get close to the seam, but don't snip through it, or else you're going to mess everything up. If you do happen to snip through it, just sew and try to close the hole. Okay. And then around the neck hole, we're just going to cut these little tiny slits, boop, 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 about an inch apart. Because if we don't do this, then when we flip it inside out, all of the, it's not gonna look good. Boop. There we go. And now we're just gonna flip this whole thing inside out. Okay. And it's gonna need an iron to press down all the seams, but so I think I'm gonna try to machine the armholes now. Just like that. Just fold it in all the way around. Like that. Okay. Wish me luck. So that didn't turn out bad. I'm pretty happy with that, how that looks. I can cover up the white thread on the black parts using a little bit of Sharpie, very careful amount of Sharpie, which I'll do at the end. But that really wasn't that bad. After a good iron, it'll look particularly good. So now to do that with the other side. Definitely not the easiest method though. Probably the method used in the pattern is the easiest method, but this one's gonna give me the cleanest results, so I wanted to do it this way. Okay, so there it is, we're pretty much done with the top. And now we need to move on to the big old puffy skirt. So that'll be fun. Oh, I need to do the Velcro's at the end. Anyways, so now we'll move on to the big puffy skirt. Okay, now we're going to work on the skirt, which is, I think, part 14 and 15. Part 14 is the back of the skirt, and part 15 is the front of the skirt. So, similar to how we did for the last one, at the beginning we're going to work with the lining pieces and the outside pieces separately. So the first thing we're going to do is sew the edges together to create the full shape of the skirt. So you'll see we have these lines right here. We're going to sew this edge and this edge for both the lining and the outside pieces. So now we're going to take both pieces, the lining and the outside, and we're going to put them together with the correct sides touching, meaning that the seams are out on both sides. And we're going to make sure that the tabs where the Velcro is going to go line up, because that's what we're going to be sewing now. Just going to use a couple pins to hold it in place. And same with the other side. So now we're going to sew these tabs down, and we're going to go in about 1/2 inch. So now we're going to take this whole skirt and we're going to flip it inside out like this. And now you'll see that that seam we just sewed is nice and clean. Oh, I almost forgot. You'll need to trim the corners like that to make sure that the points pop out correctly. And also, we're going to do a little snip like that. So now we have this flap here. Can you see that? I could do that on the other side too. Now you just need to iron this so that, make sure to pop out the corner here, maybe using blunt scissors. Be careful. Make sure the point is popped out nice and pointy, like that. There we go. And now we're going to take an iron and iron this flat for both sides. I've decided not to put an underskirt at all, which means that this dress needs to be like a bit shorter than the original directions, so I'm gonna cut it off a little bit, maybe about 1 inch. Okay. So now we're going to do a rolled hem all the way around. So now you'll see the bottom is very pretty, nice and clean, and we'll iron this down so that it's crisp. And now it's time to attach the skirt to the to the top. So if you've seen my previous videos, you might have seen that the way to gather fabric evenly is to do 3 or 2, in my case because I'm lazy, rows of a basting stitch, like a very, very loose stitch, and then pulling the thread. So that's exactly what we're going to do now. Try to do it as close as you can to the top, but don't overlap the stitches. Start with a normal stitch at the beginning, and then transition to the loose basting stitch. That way the thread won't fall out at the end. And again, long tail. And now we take this and we grab the thread from both sides that's on the underside. So separate them out. This is the top side. Here's the underside. And we're just going to grab it and we're going to pull it. See, very carefully. Make sure not to pull too hard or it will snap. And you're just going to keep doing that until it's the same length as the bottom of the shirt. So every once in a while, just check up. See, it's too long. So we're going to keep going. Make sure the gathers are nice and even along the whole hem, I guess. There we go. And now we're just going to sew in between these two threads closer to the bottom one so that we have a smaller seam along here. And now we're just going to pull, we're going to cut the threads that we used to, create the gathering on the side where we basically created the knot, and on the other side we're just going to pull them all the way through. Doesn't matter if it breaks, we're just trying to pull it out. Just like that. So now our dress is taking shape. Looks pretty good. I'm happy with this. Now I'm going to make this inside seam not so puffy. Right now it's going to puff out. It's going to create a weird shape when we put it on. So I'm just going to flatten this out and sew really close to this line right here, which is going to just stick this seam to here, and then we'll be able to cut off all the excess. Okay, looks good. And now we're just going to snip all this off. Okay, look good. And the last seam we have to do is connect the bottom of the skirt in the back. Actually, I guess before that we should put in the Velcro, so let's do that. So we're going to take our Velcro. We need that much. And we want the scratchy side to go up so that it doesn't scratch the doll. Try to make it look clean on the side that's going to be on the outside. And finally, the very last step will be to sew the two backs of the skirt together. Just like that. Make sure it's on the inside so all the black is out. Boop. Right there. So, because we made the, make sure to line up the bottom nice. Because we made the Velcro part so much farther out, make sure it connects right at that tip all the way down. So I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I sort of messed up the back elastic here at the bottom a little bit. But other than that, I think it looks really good. I'm really happy with it. I didn't follow the pattern like at all. Completely made it up as I went along. And I really like the result quite a bit more than the one that they sort of, I guess, were suggesting. Because if you turn it inside out, you'll see that the only seam in here is this one, which is really darn good. I mean, like, look how pretty that is. It's kind of like how in embroidery, the sign of a good embroiderer isn't the front, it's the back. So this is just kind of how I like to judge it, I guess. So I'm very happy with this, with the outcome, not the pattern. The pattern kind of sucked. The directions, at least. Obviously well, yeah. So, and I didn't do there's supposed to be an underskirt that makes it super poofy. I didn't do that. I wanted it to be more of like just a dress that will lay down, because I feel like Otterly will like that a lot better, just based on her tastes. I actually think that she's gonna like this dress a lot, I'm hoping. It really seems like something she would like. I guess we'll find out. Maybe she'll hate it. I don't mind. I'm just completely guessing, but I like how this turned out a lot. I give the pattern like a 2 out of 10. Just because it wasn't constructed the way that I wanted to construct it. I'm happy with the way I made this. I even got the pattern to line up in a lot of places on the seams, which I've never been able to do successfully before. I like how the pattern lays on the dress. I'm really happy with the outcome, and I hope Ari likes it too. So thank you for watching.